Hello, 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 and welcome to the Jerick Show, your weekly dose of cybersecurity news, timely topics, poorly presented. I'm your host, as always, Javvad Malik. We're a little bit later than usual because both Eric and I got called into a meeting. But don't worry, it wasn't a disciplinary one, as some of you might be hoping.
Welcome to the Jerick Show, featuring your hosts, Javvad Malik and Eric Krohn. Timely topics, poorly presented.
So, do I have the wrong graphic thing? No, it's the right one. It looks really weird. Speaking of things that look weird, Eric Krohn, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I like that little bit about the disciplinary piece because, just really, you know how those HR people are. Ooh, I got to tell you, man, you don't want to get on their wrong side. That's for sure.
It's a bit like the French, always skating close to a riot or a protest or a strike. We are just always skating that fine line close to it.
Right. You know, that's you bring that up. That's been pretty wild over there, hasn't it?
It has, like, you know, the regular burning, looting, writing, cancelling off concerts and events because people are scared to go out of their house now. Just a normal day in Paris, I think.
Well, and then there was a video of one guy like just eating his lunch while all hell's breaking loose around.
Yeah. Having champagne, his cheese, and like,
it's like, whatever.
Fires going on around. Yeah.
No, that's kind of actually how I wish I felt a little bit more often is, you know, in the middle. It's kind of like the dog in the meme with the, with the fire and all that. This is fine. You just you can roll with just about anything. But
yeah.
Oh, Lord. I find that as I get older, it's harder for me to do that.
Yeah. Well, you know, you try rolling and you pull a muscle. You roll that bed the wrong way and like, my neck.
Yeah, that's a real thing, man. And I think you know that too. As you get older, you won't believe how you can injure yourself doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you think it's bad when you hit your 30s because you're like, oh, the youth of my 20s is gone. The 30s are great. You know, it's just a little teaser for what's about to come. When you hit the 40s, that's when like everything goes.
Yeah, that's when the check engine light comes on. Everything goes just right off the rails, you know. Yeah. I tell you.
Anyway, security news. Stay for the old man complaint.
Get off my lawn.
Okay, so this is a good story because, well, not a good story. It's ironic, but okay. So there's Android app out there called Let Me Spy, which doesn't sound bad at all. Well, it is. It's proper stalkerware. You install it on someone's phone and you can get access to their location, their messages, their browser history, their phone call history, everything.
Is this in the Play Store?
It apparently only is available if you've got Android version 4 to 7, I think. I was reading this earlier. Yeah, the app only seems to work for Android 4 to 7. So it won't show up in everyone's app anyway. But I don't know if it's actually in the official thing or not. But then, like, you know, I suppose one of the things, like with all of these, is that you actually need physical access to someone's phone and know their password to install it. So this is very much one of those ones that sits in that horrible domestic abuse type of, scenarios. So it's not something you can remotely do. But that's not the story here. The story here is the company that provides it. They obviously siphon off all the data, and then you log onto their website to see what information you've gathered. They got breached. So now, if someone installed stalkerware on your app, on your phone, then anyone can access that website and see what's on there. So it's a bit of a double whammy for the poor victim.
Builds itself, hold on, I was reading this, builds itself as a tool for parental and employee control, or even a helpful piece of software for absent-minded Android users prone to either losing or forgetting their phones. Yeah, something like Let Me Spy sounds like something that is absolutely targeted to forgetful people that may
Yeah.
leave their phone somewhere and they go,
Endorsed
gosh.
by the Alzheimer's Society, isn't it? It's just like, yeah, it's people spin it in many ways, but
So I have very little empathy for this organization. Now, I do feel bad for the people whose data was thrown out there. I mean, they're victims already, and now they're being victimized again because the organization that wrote the crappy software is a crappy organization that didn't secure that as well. So I really hope that whoever it is gets a ridiculous regulatory fine and gets sued into oblivion.
Yep, they are Romanian based, and the silver lining is they found about 10,000 phones that were compromised part of this, and it says not all of them look like they were actually spied on. So maybe it was a lot of people just testing it or trying it out, and then someone upgraded their phone so it wasn't available or whatever it is. But this also brings up the issue again of like, we live in security walled gardens, and that if you can afford the latest and greatest Android or iPhone, you've got a lot more security. But if you can't, if you live in a country that doesn't, where the average income isn't as high, or you just like don't earn as much, you don't have as much disposable income, you're forced to buy one of these cheaper Android phones, which inevitably running an older version, and you can't upgrade it, and so you are insecure by default, pretty much.
And ironically, we've talked about this before. Those are the same people that are probably going to rely on wireless for everything they do, because these are in countries where wireless is the infrastructure. They don't have, like we have here, where you have internet to homes all the time and, Wi-Fi, all this. A lot of it's cellular and through those kinds of systems. It's crazy.
It is indeed. It is indeed. So there's a mobile banking Trojan, Anatsa.
From one Android problem to another. Not that I'm against Android. I've used Androids for years. Although I am an iPhone user now. I hate to admit it. It just works. Yeah. but this was this is a malware that's it's basically a banking Trojan. And what was interesting on this, and this is why I brought it up on the last one, this was available on the Play Store, and it is available. They keep popping up these things and throwing them out there, and the app is downloaded, infects the phones, et cetera, et cetera. It gets pulled from the Play Store, but then they pop it up again somewhere else. And this is a lesson that even with the official stores, you have to be a little careful with what you're doing here. You can't just grab stuff and install it. You want to look at how many times it's been downloaded. You want to look at how long it's been out. Don't be those first people with something that's been out for, 3 days and promises the world. Odds are it's not going to be 100% legit.
But then on the flip side, sometimes we've seen some of these apps, they're fine to begin with.
Yeah.
And then there's an update available. And then you just update it, and that contains the malicious payload.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. So in short, don't install anything on your phone. Just use it to make calls and send texts. What do you think, Javvad? Is that safe?
I don't know. Nothing is safe. That's why I say nothing
is safe.
Trust no one. Trust nothing.
You know what's interesting? If you scroll down just a little bit in the story, it's look, it's me. It's that may be the other reason I threw it up here. You know how I like to do that.
You're so vain, honestly. Every story is about you.
No, it is. This one of the points that I made on this also is that these are banking Trojans, but they also steal and collect all of these credentials. And I'm on a soapbox about credential reuse. That's a big thing to me. And this is another reason why. If you reuse these same credentials all over the place, this is how you end up on a list, and people throw it into these programs, and then you have almost 200,000 North Face accounts taken over and stuff like that, right? I mean, this is how that stuff plays in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. It's just something to think about there, folks. Stuff like this is out there.
That's right. Oh,
Oh, they value your privacy.
yeah. Siemens,
Siemens
the next,
Energy. You know,
the next company that confirms data breach after MOVEit. They like to move it.
Don't we know someone that was once involved in security at Siemens Energy?
Maybe.
You know, this MOVEit thing is, man, it is just amazing how many people use this. And I had never heard of it. It's not something I've ever used, but apparently everyone and their brother uses it except me, because every day there's more people showing up on this. And this is Klopp. I mean, you know, Klopp has just like really rung the bell this year on this.
Well, you know what? It's like a lot of these enterprise tools. There's so many of these non-publicly famous products that enterprises use as, you know, primarily backbone of a lot of their processing, file transfer, accounts, you know, image storage, you name it. There's so many of these out there, and the problem is that, you know, because they're not high profile, people just sweep them under the risk register. It's really easy to talk about a product like Dropbox or a social media company like Facebook or something and say, okay, let's block users from using these because these are high risk, or it's really well understood. But these ones, especially in the whole third party realm of things, it becomes really dangerous. And that's why those pages that companies put out with all of their customer logos on it, that becomes a liability really quickly.
Yeah, there's a reason some of the big ones don't want their name on there. It's not to steal your, you know, your thunder, but because that makes you a target, actually. And, you know, in this case, I mean, this is going to be one of those programs that, you know, it's going to be suggested people use instead of sending files an email and stuff like that, right? This is supposed to actually help with ease and probably with security at some point in time. But it turns out that this has been such a liability for so many organizations all over the place. It's just, man, it's just brutal. See what you've missed. I like that ad.
Pilot data of American Airlines and Southwest stolen in data.
Speaking of supply chains, exactly.
Your neck of the woods.
Yeah. Because the airlines don't have enough trouble as it is. I mean, you know, Southwest is absolutely famous for the resiliency of their software and, and how that's working. And I don't know if you know over there now. So over here in the US, I mean, I'm sure you know it's 4th of July weekend, but this is supposed to be one of the most traveled weekends of like ever, is what they keep saying on the news. It's crazy. But there's already been so many delays and canceled flights, and they're already starting with well, we don't have enough pilots, we don't have enough air traffic controllers, we don't have blah 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 blah, right? And so all of this stuff is just really, this whole industry is having a pretty rough time right now. And what happened here is it was actually like an HR program or where people apply for jobs and stuff like that, but you give up a lot of sensitive information when you do that. And this is who got breached. So kind of interesting there. And then there's the little side fact, and I don't know for sure that this would lead to this, but it could. What if your current employer sees that you're applying at other places through something like this being dumped, right? It's kind of like when we saw the Ashley Madison thing and people could search that information and find out who's doing dumb crap. This just makes me think of like, oh wow, this could be unfavorable to people. But yeah, 5,700 pilots of American Airlines and over 3,000 from Southwest.
See, I think it's a bit of a waste what they did to just breach the database. What I would do is I would have gone on and added myself as a pilot. Just like
you're gonna pull a Frank Abagnale here, right? You just show up in a fake uniform and be like, I'm taking a jump seat.
Right. Sure, look at me, I am the pilot now.
Come on, they say these planes almost fly themselves, right? So I mean, really,
how hard can it be? I mean, like, you just need a PlayStation controller, I think, to use most.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, you did not go there.
Oh dear, too soon.
Well, I don't know if you saw just this last week too. I mean, it was a couple of days ago there at Charlotte, which is the American hub on the East Coast there. They ended up landing a plane with the nose gear up.
Yeah,
Because
I
the
saw
gear didn't come up. And I'm thinking, okay, the people are safe. That's cool. That's awesome. It was like an old 717 or something. It was an older plane, 96 people on board. And I'm like, man, okay, I'm glad everybody's okay. And then I started, thinking about, and now that's going to snafu everything. Because Charlotte is like, there is crazy stuff in it. I've spent so much time stuck in Charlotte due to delays. You drop a plane on the runway with the gear down, that runway's down for a while, man, because the FAA is going to be out there with like little micrometers and stuff measuring little, like stuff, where it's scraped the concrete. I mean, it's going to be crazy. So I'm like, man, and leading into the 4th of July weekend, that's just not a good feel.
Yeah. This is the point where I think America as a whole should think like, the rest of the world has really invested in high-speed rail networks to get across from city to city.
I know. No, we can talk about this a little bit because, demographically, we are a little bit more spread out than some of these other places. I mean, let's look at that. When I met the gal, I was in DC. She's from your neck of the woods, from the UK. She was talking about her US trip and how she was in Arizona and decided she was just going to pop up to the Grand Canyon after looking at the map and found out it was like 6 hours each way. It was like, holy crap, we're in like different countries where I'm from. She got in kind of over her head. So we do have some issues there.
Yeah, no, but I'm not talking about going coast to coast. I'm just saying like, high-speed rail networks are a thing across like continents and stuff. So
well, they're talking about it here,
and it's ironic given that the US was initially like mainly taken over by virtue of the rail network.
By rail, yeah. No, they've talked about it here, especially. It's kind of funny, like Tampa, where I'm at, over to Orlando, probably just to feed Disney. But they've talked about doing a high-speed rail between here and there. There's been, talks about the Elon Musk's, the Hyperloop.
Oh.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, there's all this stuff that we keep hearing about, but then we as Americans, we won't even take the bus 15 minutes away, right? We're like, no, this is my car. I need to take my car by myself alone. I need to go drive this 5 minutes and I need to take up another parking spot along with all of the other people that did the very same thing because I don't want to wait 10 minutes for public transportation.
Well, then if you take public transport, you probably end up getting shot on the way there anyway. So,
I think it's more stabbed. It tends to be more stabby. But it's a chicken and egg thing. Honestly, if more people took the mass transit would be better. It'd be better funded. It'd be better everything. But because nobody rides the bus, the local bus probably takes in about $15 a day in income. It's subsidized by the county, the state, the whatever, right? And that's the unfortunate thing is we tend to do that. But yeah, we're not giving up our cars yet, I don't think. Not till gas hits like $12 a gallon, maybe we'll think about it.
Cool. Okay, so here's something you probably remember from when you hit 40.
40 is
it's
old.
The 20th anniversary of NCSC marks the 20th anniversary of the first response to a state-sponsored cyber attack back in June 2003. And, unlike today, there was no government agency set up to deal with cyber attacks. Neither was there a dedicated incident management function. The interesting thing about this was that they found malware designed to steal sensitive data and evade antivirus products had been installed. And then they'd done some research into that, and they found it was a phishing email. I can't find the reference here on the.
What a shocker!
Yeah, it's oh, there it is. A suspected phishing email
Yeah.
had been identified. So 20 years later, we're still dealing with the same crap.
I know. I know. And I did a presentation last night up until about midnight my time, which is why I'm dragging so hard. But one of the things that I was joking about in there, it was about culture and it was about things like that. But looking back, 1971 is when the first email was sent, and a guy sent it to himself. It was like QWERTY something, keystrokes, whatever. And I'm reasonably sure the second email sent was actually a phishing email. It was like, I mean, it's been going on for so long. It's almost mind-boggling that we still can't get ahead of that. And I know we're in the business of trying to help reduce that. And we see that a lot. We see that there are things you can do to really reduce that. But it's been such an issue for so long. And hey, I just noticed, did you paint that back wall?
Not recently, no.
Oh wow, okay. I thought that was white. Okay. You just wanted your Guinness thing to show up, right? Your Book of World Records plaque back there is make that pop.
My convenient. Oh, that one.
That
I
one.
didn't even notice it was there.
Yeah.
That world record.
No idea. Oh man, no. Yeah, it is kind of frustrating that we're still fighting that fight, but we are making a difference. I think, at least for.
If only there was an easy way to just get rid of all these frustrations. But there are some frustrations you can get rid of with a simple click of a button, like Erich Krohn. So I wish everything in life was that simple. Okay, until next week. No, I won't be here next week because it is 4th of July week. I will be celebrating 4th of July. I'll be taking the week off, so I won't be here next week. Maybe the unpatriotic Eric will be here, but if not, then I'll see you soon. Until next time, stay secure, my friend.